time I am on my own. Well, welcome to Real Talk with Lene, from sober survival to sober thrival. Um, I stole the name of Real Talk from one of my clients. So, Brooke, thank you. I loved the idea of just doing real talk. And I'll be the only one talking for a while. Does house get better than that? But at the end of this, I will open it up, and I can take some questions. I can do some energetic facilitation. I could read some energy for you. This is a 90-minute call. We probably won't go that long, but if you have created that space to receive for yourself, that's awesome. Okay. And for those that are listening to the recording, give yourself, I ask for what would it be like for you to give yourself 90 minutes, an hour, to literally just soak in what I'm going to be talking about, what I'm going to be sharing about, what you're going to learn about, and all of that. Okay. Um, so there we go. Jess is letting us know. Thank you, Jess, in the little chat section. I asked you all. I got so many buttons open. Jess, I asked you guys, tell me who you were, if you're on a recovery journey, how much time, all of that. Jess is here. She's from Knoxville, Tennessee. She's been sober since 6/1/24, and she has a sober podcast. And with her husband Ryan, I was actually a guest on that. It's called Sober as FUCK. I'm actually, thank you, one of their coaches that's available if you go through their podcast, their website at noon, and where I get to be there if people need coaching and supporting. So she has her healthcare in there, and I want to be Lene when I grow up. Oh God, no, you don't. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. My wish for everybody on this is that um, whatever you're not having ease with, that there is a way to have more of that ease. Okay, and that's what we're going to talk about. So fill that in and we can come back to that. So here's the agenda for today. And the reason I called this real talk is, thank you for putting that up there, her website, is I've spent thousands of dollars on how to learn how to do the right kind of webinar. I mean, literally thousands. The last coaching class I took was $16,000 to learn how to do this. And with the slides and the presentation, all that. And I find for me, I'm just kind of got to go with the flow. So I have an agenda, but I also go with the energy of who's on the call with me. And for the 30 women that did choose, okay? So it's very hard for me just to do a standard thing because it's based on who's showing up. So Letitia is here. She did recovery codependency. Right on. You are welcome. And I love her and she loves me. We've done work together and in all different ways and platforms. Okay, so here is the plan for this call. And like I said, I have a little bit of information here. The theme is around, I called it sobriety. That means anything that you have put down, changed, let go of, and still find yourself in survival to a place of sober thrival, recovery thrival, codependency thrival, whatever that is. I use the word sobriety because I am working a little bit more focused in that world of recovery, of sobriety. But I cover all realms of the work that I've been doing to pretty much hit everybody from everything. So just know that that is a open word that we're going to use. So, so that's what we're going to talk about is the journey from that to where I'm at now and my 35 years of experience to getting to where I'm at today. And an invitation at the end of this, I will be inviting you to a journey to the next step if you want to go into that thrival new version of you in my aligned woman's path. Okay, so if I have permission to do that, I will close at the end and then we'll have some extra time to do an energy and facilitation. So I want to open up with who the heck am I? Okay. I'm not going to do a drunkalog, but I do think it's important. Half of the 30 women that signed up, thank you, universe, for bringing new women into my world, don't know me. And so I am grateful that you followed the energy. So, we're like, I need to be there. I need to hear what she has to say. I don't know what that is. I am an intuitive. I read your energy. I read everybody's energy. I have more of a handle and capacity on my empathic abilities, my psychic tools, my intuitive tools um, that I've really honed in over the last 6 years. But so thank you for being here if you followed that or a little nudge from me. So, let me share just to give you an idea of where we come from. Let's do this first. If you can, if you would, let's just do a little nervous system set. I keep it real simple to start with. I want you to take your hands. This is so simple how nervous system awareness can be done. Here's your hands, right? I want you to put them on your face. You can put your feet on the floor. It's not a big deal. Please don't make this significant. There's no right or wrong way. But in the chair, like just a hello to your body, whatever you've been doing. And everywhere that you can call yourself in from all the parts, pieces, places, things where you energetically are. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it doesn't matter. Just listen to my words and call in all the parts and pieces of you that are in other places, times, into you, your space in this reality right now. So you're feeling your hands on your face. And then I want you to flip it. I want you to feel your hands. Okay, first we feel our hands on our face, and then I want you to feel your face on your hands. Okay, so you flip it, checking in to the energetics of who you be. We feel it. Now, can you feel your face on your hands? There it is. It took me a second. All righty. And again, I call in, if you would like, all the parts and pieces in you, of you, and about you that are attached, hooked, linked to anybody and everybody else. And we'd like to claim this time and space just for you. Would you do that, please, with total ease? Okay. Now, if you just tap in for a second, you might feel a little bit more grounded. Okay. So I do here. So let me start on my bridge. Who am I? Where did all this come from to the conversation that we're going to have from survival? Survival. I have to call my energy back in. Hold on. I kind of went out there. I enjoyed it so much. It's like, come on back, Lene. You got a 90-minute talk to do here. I picked up my first drink at 11 years old. I came from the white picket family. Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect. So that's what that looked like. I picked up my first drink. I picked up my first joint in the field in junior high school, and I was off and running. Whatever it was and how it worked, I wanted more. That's all I knew. Shortly after that, I was in dance. And shortly after that, I learned how to binge and purge. And then I learned how to be an anorexic. So all of those things came in at a very young age. They don't make sense when you look back and goes like, was that my environment, all of that? No, I came into the world like this. I have no doubt about that. So that's how it started. Okay. And then it kept going. So by the time let me see what pieces are going to be important for you. I've always been a worker. I like to work. I like money. So money is part of my story of survival. Okay. So one of the things from survival to thrival is we energetically live most of the time in all of our past. If we have not cleared that, cleaned it up, created that next step, that next version, which is what we're going to talk about, we energetically, because we are everywhere, are still there. So I've always worked. So by that time, then I had gotten my first job at the age of 15. I was starting to make the beginning of money. And then boys. Well, no, boys were way before that. My first boyfriend was in kindergarten, but then sex. Okay. So I had all the elements and was ready to go, and I was running. My first job, I was in banking. Then I moved into a regional vice president position of a mortgage company. By the age of 24, I was making $100,000 a year. So I left that career. I'm going to leave a lot out, but the drinking, food, all of that, so much of now looking back on it for me was a lot of mental issues going on in there. One of the things that I know today is what I had, and for those who have very long-term recovery, there's a lot of us, but there's not a lot of us. We didn't have what you guys have today. What's available in the conversations and the things that they talk about, the things that they know about, the so many things we didn't. So my recovery really was what the books say, trudge the road to happy destiny. I mean, it was trudging. It was like your parents saying, I used to walk in the snow and da 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 da. Well, I did. I struggled and I survived, and I struggled and I survived. And because of all that we have available, and because I know how not to do that anymore, that's my gift, my passion to continue to teach and bring to you ladies new parts and pieces of what's required for a really thrival recovery. Okay. So, corporate America, I left corporate America, and that's when I hit a bottom. Okay. I hit a bottom early. Drank from 10 to 11, did a lot of damage. And by 24, it was live or die. My eating disorder had taken me down to 75 pounds. I was still in a corporate business. And, you still wonder how that all existed. And that was the beginning of putting the drink down. Okay. So I left that corporate career. So I know what corporate's like. I know what it's like to now leave a career. Okay. I went to school. I became a holistic health practitioner. I did that for 11 years, 11 or 12, 13 years. I'm horrible on time. Um, what I did is I went into healing work because I went into healing work to heal me. During that period, I had a therapist for 10 years. As a dually addicted person with the tools that we had back then, there's very few people that I even aware of anymore that recovered from an eating disorder, anorexia, bulimia, drugs and alcohol, workaholism, perfectionism. It was what it was. I'm not going to go into all that. So I became a holistic health practitioner, had my own healing center, worked with people, body work. I went to school, became a graduate of the Southern California Psychic Institute, learned these tools. Now, also, what I want to remind you, for me, 35 years ago, we did not have, let me see if I can, I did not have, most of us did not have the space to talk as freely as we have today. You most likely were born an empath, a sensitive, a humanoid, right? Letitia, however you want to call it. But up until the last 5 years, has that word become socially okay? So the majority of my life in recovery was hiding. So I hope that this space, even today, is a space of like anywhere that you're hiding, which we all are. Because once we pop out from hiding, there's another level of hiding. And then there's another level that you can even walk away from the call of like, I'm hiding here. What's possible for me to stop hiding in that area? So left that career, massage therapist, had my first son. Then I jumped into Mary Kay Cosmetics because I couldn't do body work anymore. I still do body work today. I do healing body work. I am a Reiki master. I am a bars facilitator and all of that. I was a Reiki master when my son was born, before that, 30 years ago, where you didn't talk about any of that. Today, you can get your Reiki mastery for like $125 online. I think I paid over $5,000 for mine. Um, Fast forward, did Mary Kay for 19 years. I'm still part of the company because I had such a big company, an organization that when I left, which no one does, so I've left three major careers. Okay. So if you're in a transition, if you want something to change in your life, you have to be willing to change it. And I think that's what continuous sobriety and recovery and healing is about. Obviously, is who do you need to become to be that next version of you that is going to be that. We didn't have the words for that. I just kept choosing shit because I didn't like what was happening. And there is a part of me that does have that drive. And so I like to inspire and work with women who maybe need some help with that because I am a push. That is part of my addiction is that push. So 19 years in Mary Kay, top earned 11 free cars in Mary Kay. I know what it's like to work in network marketing, and that is what as I have done. A lot of coaching is in business. So here we are, present time. 6 years ago, I started Growth Junkie Coaching. And I make that all sound like it was so easy, right? But what it was even though I got sober, what was consistent? I never stopped going to meetings. I never stopped working with other women. I never, ever, ever stopped growing. I never did. So the work that I did on myself to get here is the work that I'm going to talk about today. This is 35 years of my experience, strength, and hope, but also in the last 6 years, having a collective consciousness that we can actually talk about these things that have labels on them. My therapist back then, we were doing body work. I was slamming pillows. I was throwing up in a trash can because there was so much coming out of the nervous system. Nothing's new. Absolutely nothing is new. It just goes through phases. And I'm old enough now to have watched several phases. So here we are with Growth Junkie Coaching. And that's what I'm here to talk to you from the sobriety journey of like, where are you? What's possible and what's possible behind that. So I know I'll go back to this and go, wow, I left out so many things. But that's what gets me qualified to have this conversation with you. And over the past 6 years of coaching full time, every woman that I have coached, even in business, always has alcohol as part of her story because that's how it's created. It may be her journey, it may be her husband's, it may be her brother's, it may be her son. It's all, so I attract that because that's what I am. So this class is beginning, and the class that I'm launching, the Aligned Woman, which will be an invitation to you, has been 6 years in coming, and it's taken me 2 years to actually bring it to the table today. So thank you for being part of that. It's taken me 2 years to pull this together. So no matter what, it's a success because I'm here. So that's a little bit my bridge to where we are today. Okay. So you guys got this this guide that I put together. The Essential Guide to Life Beyond Sobriety. The Aligned Woman's Path, where alignment with your truest self begins. Whether you had a chance to read it or not, print it out, do. But I am going to go over these questions with you. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and I will answer them. Okay. Because I do know I've got some of you live here. And I want to acknowledge that. So if you need anything. In this is kind of where we're going to start in this little, oops, hold on. Lights went out. Let's see. And my desk went up and I didn't want it to do that. Sorry. Are you living in alignment or just getting by? So I'll just read them and I just want you to do a review. This is not about judgment. All of this conversation, may it be in a space of, I teach four spaces. I really like four main spaces. What are we aware of? And what we're aware of that we are in allowance of it, not acceptance. I took that word out a long time ago. When we're in new recovery, we do have to do acceptance. Like we do, there's levels, okay? This group that I'm talking to and the women that I coach have time, okay? I just had a newcomer call to work with me last week, raw newcomer. She needs more support. So recovery home, therapy. So just know that there are people that I'm not qualified that I will send to another direction. But working with women who have time, who have some, you've done a lot. You've done a lot. Now what's next? So are you living in alignment or just getting by? So my thing, awareness, then allowance of what you're aware of, and then asking questions that create possibilities, space, something different, okay? Out of our heads, out of our controlled heads, and then into the aligned action, okay? And literally, as I'm talking, I'm seeing my own vision. Like it is, everything has come together right now at this moment of 6 years and 2 years for me to actually be able to say so clearly what it is that I support my clients with and support you with that you'll learn today. Okay, so choose the answer as you're just sitting there with me, and you can maybe answer in the chat. When you wake up in the morning, you usually feel A, B, C, or D, and you can put it in the thing that would help me. A, when you wake up in the morning, you feel clear, connected to what matters. That's A. B, anxious or already behind. C, numb or on autopilot. D, motivated but easily thrown off by others' needs. Okay, you want to pop that in, then I can kind of answer to that. Clear, connected to what matters. That's an aligned woman. Anxious or already behind. I know these are all things I put in. This is mine. This is like, I understand what it's like to be in all of these places. Okay, Jess is courageous enough to put number C. And we also bop in and out of all of them. But if we were just doing a place of like, okay, I am numb or on autopilot. So cool. Numb autopilot is about this part of living. I speak energetically. Okay. So at first you may be going, I don't know what she's talking about, but I speak energy. So all the parts and pieces of us that are living in the past are our reference points. We're living there. We are living there until we become conscious and aware and start to be an allowance of that and do the work that's required to then be present to the aligned woman. So C, numb or on autopilot. Well, thank goodness for that. At least that's it's out of the thing that you were doing. And now you're in what I call survival. Okay, so perfect, perfect. I lived here a long time. B, when making decisions, you tend to take a deep breath, trust your gut, and take aligned action. B, overthink, second guess, or seek approval. C, default to what's expected of you. Or D, avoid deciding until forced. Okay, let me read that again. When making decisions, you tend to trust your gut and take the aligned action. That's what I want for you all. Do you overthink, second guess, or seek approval? That's B. C, default to what's expected of you. And D, avoid deciding until forced. Okay, and Jess is courageous enough to go A or C, or capable enough. You guys may not be able to, wherever you're watching me at, A or C. Trust your gut, and C, default to what's expected of you. One of the things that I know now that I wished I would have known years ago. And when I say years ago, let me go back just 15 years ago in my 35 years. 15, I don't know, maybe it was 15, suck with times, where I did have a true moment in my recovery, sitting in an AA meeting, the same meeting I've been going to for 18 years, where these women helped me through two really bad divorces, my son, alcoholic addict on the street, job changes. I mean, these women held me up. And I sat in this meeting and I had one of those God moments. And I was like, when the fuck am I going to take off my Wonder Woman cape and stop having problems and stop trying to solve the problems to be the Wonder Woman so that I have something to do? Okay. That, right, what I just shared right there could be like its whole story itself, where I had at that moment everything that I had been in fucking just my recovery up until the last 15 years and last 6 years has been true survival. Okay. And I don't want that for people. But that was my journey. And my journey, I never doubt why I went through. I went through that. I created that. We create our reality. I created that so that I could be here today to share how not to or how to get out of that. I'm clear that that's why I'm here on this earth, is to experience everything so that I can share it with others. Okay. But there is another way. You don't have to experience it. You can just learn from it and outgrow of it. So Jess says, I'm an intuitive empath, and a big part of my recovery was trusting my gut. I feel that I have trusted it in 99% of the time now, but on days that my mind is not where it should be, I go into default and autopilot. Absolutely. This is, I am going to I am going to talk about my aligned woman program, okay? Because I would be doing injustice to myself, because that's what I'm going to invite you to, slash, that's what the next step are. 95, this is studied. Joseph Spenzo talks about it, Access Consciousness talks about it, neuroscience talks about it. 95% of our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I'm just going to go with thoughts, because when we have thoughts, they turn into a feeling, then they turn into an emotion. Okay. But I want to hit you at the thought. 95% of your thoughts do not belong to you. Just let that soak in. I'm still getting that. And that will unfold for the rest of your life. Promise you. But when we start to learn, like, oh my gosh, like Jess is saying, 99% of the time, trust. I have a saying, underneath the pile of shit is the pony called you. All of this, lifetimes, generational, programming, just all of this. And here you are, this infinite being that either came in with no addictions or did addictions, whatever. I came in with a constitution of that, very clear on that. So the journey of the aligned woman, the journey that I wish I would have known more of, is that everything that was happening around me, none of it was mine. None of it was mine. I'm a healer. You're most likely a healer if you're listening to me. And I know that that word healer lights people up, because it's like, but that's what you do when you work with me, is we get rid of all those points of views. Our points of view create our reality. 95% of your points of views, your projections, and your expectations are not yours. So if we become aware of that, we're an allowance of it. We start asking questions to outcreate that, and then go into aligned action to that next version of you. That's the path. So we're on this one. Thank you, Jess, for helping, because default to what's expected of you. This is the journey of awareness, is that when we start to learn that nothing is ours. So how do we start to declare and start to own what is real for us? Okay. And it's beautiful when you start to go, That's mine, that's theirs, that's mine. And that's tools and it's processes. And I wish I could tell you how to do it right this second, but I did tell you it's about awareness, it's about allowance, about asking the right questions. Okay, so there we go. Three, thank you. And autopilot, I also want us to recognize allowance for that. Like, thank God for autopilot. Thank God for autopilot. Because when I look back and I look back at all the things that I have gone through, oh my gosh. In 35 years, it's a lot to go through. There's a big difference between a couple years of sobriety, 10 years of sobriety, 20, 30. And I don't say that in a brag way, but that's why the program is one day at a time, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in that. And so thank gosh for autopilot, because if I had not had autopilot and known what to do the next indicated thing based on my foundation of recovery, I could have picked up, drank, used, shopped, sexed, all of the addictions I had, okay? But I had a foundation, okay? I do see that in the sober world that there's a lot of foundation missing. Okay, so I hope to be a gap filler for that, so that you can have 3 decades, one day at a time of recovery. Number three in this, are you living in alignment or getting by? Your emotions feel, okay? A, like messengers. I can feel and process them with compassion. B, unpredictable and overwhelming. C, sometimes I often suppress to get through the day. D, manage, but I'm always on the edge waiting for the next wave. I'm laughing at these because I wrote these, because that was me. Unpredictable and overwhelmed emotions and feelings. Okay. Something I often suppress to get through the day, right? Manage, but always was on the edge of waiting for the next wave. Okay. Okay, so where do I take you from that? Does anybody want to answer where they're at on that? Um, from survival to thriving to thrival. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Okay. Jess, I feel like I'm going to be a continuous A or C on most of these. Okay, cool. So you are in the place of thriving, which is right on. I want to invite people to thrival. It is a different place. So it's so cool that you recognize that, okay? And emotions is its own animal. Oh my gosh, right? We get to wherever we are in our recovery. I was in a meeting yesterday and that was the topic of was fear. And that, interestingly enough, one of the things, oh God, there's so many places I could go in this conversation. Real talk is that how do I want to talk about it? Let's see. Fear. Fuck everything and run. Face everything and recover. False evidence false evidence appearing real. That's probably the one that I want to go into from an energetic standpoint. We have these energetic standpoints. Letitia, you're probably going to understand a lot of the work that I'm talking about. It's a combination of everything, but in one of the many of the studies, I have probably spent in the last year over $50,000 on my training and education easily. Okay. So all these places. So again, I'm talking about stuff that not only I've lived, I've changed, I've taught, I've paid for that. So Letitia's like, yes, yes. But we have these distractors. We call them energetic distractors. And they are used in our world, put in, we buy them, we come in as them, and one of them's fear. And yes, there is such thing as real fear for some situations. Absolutely. But fear is also an energy that we use until we are aware of it, till we're an allowance of it. And then we start asking questions. Is that my fear? Is that somebody else's fear? Is that fear real? Is that fear keeping me from the brilliance, the potency and the power of me? So that's something as an aligned woman now I understood. But in that group of the meeting I was in yesterday with a lot of women in a long-term recovery, still living in fear. Okay. You don't need to live in fear anymore. It's not real. Hear what I'm saying too when I'm talking, go to the middle of it. Meaning, like, well, there are some things to be fearful of, like if someone's threatened your life in the moment, that is fear. That's that flight, fight, fright, fight, or freeze, okay? Nervous system stuff. But right now, most of what you might, I gotta get you right here, what you're thinking is fear is actually from the past and you haven't cleared it. Okay. It must be a hair. And when someone says, well, I need to let it go, this is where the work that I invite you into, or the work for me is I was so mindseted out when I started 6 years ago, reclaiming my energetic, conscious, psychic, intuitive tools. Um, just in Mary Kay, we had 19 years of mindset work, the best of the best. This work to go to Thrival is energetic. It's energetic. You cannot mind yourself out of so many places. You need that as your first place of surviving. Okay. Then it's the place of like, now I'm thriving. Now I want to go to thrival. And in order to do that, I've got to go to the energetics of what I'm holding into my space. So, fear. So I was just talking about fear is not real. Fear is actually an energy. I had it before the call today. And for me, it's not fear because I'm not afraid of this. I was excited, but I never knew that I could be excited ever. I mean, I'm just learning that in the last 3 years. Like, fear is not fear, it's excitement. But I didn't know what to do with the emotions and the feelings for a very, very, very long time. And still, until I started to understand what it is I teach now. Okay, so, and then you said C, sometimes I often suppress to get through the day. Yeah, but what would it be like? Who would you have to become? What do you need to set into place? What tools, what processes? What is it that no one's talking about and putting it all together? I do believe I am the first one. Da, 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 da. Let me clap on myself. That's kind of put it all together. So that was, I know there's a little bit of ego, but you know what? I'm going to say it. Like the whole package is all together. So let's go on to the second, third one. I'm allowed to have a little bit of that ha, am I? Okay. Okay. When you think about your future, you feel ground again, empowered and open to possibilities. B, disconnected. It's hard to envision anything clearly. C, afraid I'll repeat the past. Or D, hopeful but unsure how to get there. Okay? When you think about your future, you feel empowered, open to possibilities. Disconnected, it's hard to envision anything clearly. Oh, I got all of these I can still relate to in certain areas. You know what I mean? This is progress, not perfection. But if we could have the aligned path, it sure makes it a lot, it makes the steps and the processes easier. Afraid, I'll repeat the past. Big one, big one, big one. Mostly for women in business. Probably where I spend most of my time with women is living in that fear of I'll repeat the past, but not knowing how to undo that. Okay. And have worked my booty off to get there. Absolutely. And here's what I want us all to know. I'm empowered and open to possibilities, but today I'm more empowered to possibilities than I was yesterday. And tomorrow I will be more empowered and open to possibilities. This is why this work never stops. That's why it's called Growth Junkie Coaching. And that still is my addiction. I still have a true addiction and I am clear of it. And I'm addicted to self growth. And I've had to step back and like taken breaks and like allowed me, my body, and everything just to be. But I do have a drive to learn more. So, we may be at A, but we're A here. There is so much more, but being in the thriving energy, there's a new energy to be in thrival where it comes with so much more ease and clarity. So, yay. What's your relationship with your energy? I honor my rhythms and I know how to reset myself. B, I'm constantly depleted, running on fumes. C, I push through until I crash. I kind of just did that. Okay, progress rather than perfection. So I knew that. I chose to do it because it's a choice. Allowance. I was in awareness I was doing it. I knew what the outcome was going to be, very clear. And then I asked some questions to get myself the hell out of what I was doing, even though I knew. And then when I was ready, I took the aligned action. So see how the pattern is always going. Alrighty. So wherever you are in your world and what's happening and what you're having a relationship, you have chose it. Mostly unconscious, but you have chose it to experience and then to outcreate it. So wherever you are, congratulate yourself. We can outcreate that. Really, truly, yeah, sometimes in one session, but imagine in a couple months. Okay. Honor your rhythms. Push until it crash. I wrote that. I crave more, but I don't know how to access it. If you want to give any feedback on that, honor my rhythms. I know how to reset myself. I'm constantly depleted and running on fumes. I push through until I crash. I crave more ease, but don't know how to access it. That is one of the first things I will talk about when I'm working with a new client is, happy, joyous, and free, right? That's the motto of 12 step, happy, joyous, and free. In the access consciousness world, it's ease, joy, and glory. Everybody I work with wants to have ease in their life. It is not until I've literally watched them slash work with them for you. And I don't say this in a weird, I say this like it's about 2 years into the work of what really ease is. Because we have no idea. I had no idea what ease was, but it kept getting different, just like recovery, sobriety, survival. It kept getting easier. It was still survival, but it was different. And then I started to thrive. I mean, always looking at my life from the outside, no one would ever, ever, ever know what was going on. I didn't really address, and I'm not going to go to a part of the mental. A lot of people I see getting sober today, and I'm so excited for them, but there's a missing element to a lot of us who have mental stuff going on. What I have was not diagnosed years ago. We have the capacity to say ADD, bipolar is a new name for bipolar now, which is like a half bipolar, which is where I fit in. It's, depression, we're suicidal depression. And I mean, all of that. So why am I saying that? Because I'm not talking about that as part of my path, but even in Al-Anon with my son out on the streets, living, doing drugs, that is a journey in itself about how to live in sobriety and recovery, in survival while he's surviving, and then thriving, and all that, to like the total space that I have today to be in thrival while everybody is choosing what they're choosing. I have that today. Is that perfect? No. But I didn't even know it was possible. And so when I say ease, not from a lecturing place, but from an informational space, is like, really, seriously, it's about 2 years into this energetic conscious awareness, vibrational setting, personality changing. There's so much stuff. I'm going to talk about all the things we're going to do. Where it's like, that's what ease is. That's what ease is. I'll share my first. It is funny because when I work with clients, I've worked with some of my clients for 6 years. Seriously. I have a lot of them. And people will say, well, why would someone need to work with you for 6 years? They don't need to. They just choose to because they keep getting more tools. They keep getting more of what it is that they desire and ask for. That's why. More tools, more expansion, more clarity, more awareness, more ease. Job changes, marriages, new. So it's like every time they keep creating more in their life, they keep me in their little pocket to keep me as the facilitator because I read energy. I go in and clear that for them. And then, of course, they know how to do it. But it's like going, if you haven't, If you have a sickness, it's hard to heal yourself. It's easier to have somebody say, can you see that? Can you fix that? So, ease. So, what would it be like to have more ease? What would it be like to be aligned? Like, what the fuck does aligned even mean? Like, I didn't know that. People would say that word, aligned, embodied, all that for like a long time. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. I know that's what I want, but I don't know what it means. And so that's been part of this journey for me in this last 6 years of creating of what that actually is. And okay, period. So the check that we did you notice? Take a breath. There was no score, there was just awareness. Whatever came up for you, we just ask you to let it land, be in awareness of it. Just allowance of like, here's my saying too. I say that this is it. Everything that you're not willing to be aware of, that if you were willing to be aware of it, would change your entire reality. But most of us are not willing to be aware of what it is that we're aware of. So we keep doing this. If you were willing to be aware of what it is that you're aware of, that you're not willing to be aware of. But if you were willing to be aware of it, it would change your entire reality. And everything that doesn't allow that, all the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the projections, the expectations, would you clear that, destroy, and uncreate it times a godzillion? Okay. That's a question. So when I say awareness, allowance, asking a question, I'm not talking about asking a question of why, how can I? All those whys and hows will only keep you in the problem. Period. Anytime you find yourself asking why, you are literally going to the problem again. It's a question of a space. This is a question. Walk away with this is that this is all. If you want more in your life, in your business, your life, your living, your body, anything, the question you can walk away with here is, what is it that I'm not willing to be aware of, that I'm aware of, that if I was willing to be aware of it, it would change my entire reality and everything that doesn't allow that. Okay. In that right there is the work that needs to be done, period. Because in there it's the work. It's the, what am I not willing to be aware of? And that's the comfort zone. It's all of it. It's the comfort zone. It's how do I go from here to here to here? That's it. That's like the magic question. And it's the work inside that's got to be done. And this is where I guess it comes from as I kind of am looking at the time here, where this stuff is not in recovery. It's not. It's not. It is more than it's ever been. There's even things like emotional recovery. Like they talk about emotional recovery. It's so funny because I was looking for emotional recovery for years. There's nothing really written on it. I had a sponsor for a very long time who did die, and she had emotional recovery meetings. But it's not what we know today. So this is even beyond emotional recovery. Okay, this is the aligned woman. Okay, so I hope you had fun with that. There was a lot in there. There's a lot in there. Let me pull together. And again, I hope this has been a contribution so far to you guys and you've gotten something from it because I'm going through my information. I do want to break down what survival is energetically, what thriving is energetically, and what the aligned woman in Thrival is. Now, Thrival is not a real word. Okay, you can look it up in the dictionary, and every time I look it up, it tries to fix it to thrive. It's Thrival. And in our training or whatever, the 3-4 years ago, they introduced a word in the energetic world of Thrival. And it was like from survival to thrival. And I'm all like, whatever that is, I want that. Well, it took a long time to figure out how to get what that is. It's about being it. Okay, it's about being thrival energy. So let me break that down. So where am I? Survival. Just listen to the words. This is body. And are you living in any of these places? Okay. And there's no right or wrong. There's just awareness. Okay. Different from what we just did on this little test. Okay. This is the starting point of our journey. And I do know in recovery, in sobriety, that survival stage for me, I would say was for a good 10 years. That's what my recovery looked like. Because there was mental things that were going on that we didn't know how to quite address. And um and we just have more support. But that's just my journey, okay? So the survival stage is the starting point of the journey. This is how you feel, okay? If we're doing energetics at the beginning, or even where you are right now, you're bracing, you're constricted, and you're reactive, okay? Are you in any of those still? Most people are mostly in reactive stage for a very, very long time, okay? Your inners, your inners, exhaustion, hypervigilance, white-knuckling. That's a word. I don't even know if they use that in the real sober. I mean, okay, hold on. In the 12 steps where I got clean, sober, all of my 12s, I did that. And we referred to white-knuckling. And I white-knuckled. I removed the alcohol, but then I had an eating disorder that had to heal, and that took years and years. And eating itself doesn't ever heal. That is a journey that's an everyday decision, a choice of what I'm going to eat. Okay. And I know that some of you can relate. I work with a lot of women who are in the healing journey of their journey of food. And it doesn't have to be bulimia and anorexia. It can be the overeating side of it. We are all the same. We just look different. I will share last night. We went out to dinner and I was exhausted and I knew that I was going to binge. I was going to binge on sugar. I got my yummy meal. It was all good. Took half of it. I mean, this is total conscious food stuff, right? Took my Mexican food, got healthy, put half of it away, and then we ordered the dessert. I knew the moment it was just like picking up a drink, but I don't drink. That's not because that's I can't. Okay. I wouldn't just stop at one. I know that 35 years later. But I knew that I was going to eat that sugar and I knew exactly how I was going to feel. And then I forgot to think it through that how I would feel like shit this morning. And we got this, ugh, it was good. It was pretty. And then I started to eat it. Why am I talking about this? I have no idea. Because food is still a it still has survival in it sometimes, but I do know how. So I ate it and I paid a price this morning. My autoimmune, my inflammation, my arthritis, everything was I woke up like this. Okay? So progress, not perfection. Jess says I have binge eating disorder and body dis that word, and it is the thing I struggle with the most, and I am still living in compulsion. I love that. I love your honesty. Um, the work I'm doing here is that's part of my story. Um, Food never goes away. Whew, I'm having a little bit of emotions. Hold on. And like I said, the majority of my women that I coach, even in business, all are on the food side. In the food side. So just allow that to come into your body, and we're having an awareness about it. We're in allowance. I'm in allowance of what I chose last night. Totally. No judgment. Took me long. Oh my God, the judgment. I have a book that I'm writing. I actually finished it this week. And it's about judgment. And then start asking questions about that. So eating disorders, it's a minimum of 3 years of deep work. And and it just is. And I wish I would have known now what I knew then, and then my struggle wouldn't have been so bad. So Jess, you are reminding me that that this, the sobriety word is all of it. It's all of it. And there's a lot more to be talked about in that. Okay. Okay, let me get back. Focus. Okay. So that's survival. Okay, wait a minute. Right. And then exhaustion, hyperventilation, white knuckling. That's what I was talking about. And so what that looks like is your triggers didn't leave with the alcohol, the patterns, and we default to survival. Okay. So in the aligned woman's path, we're going to learn how to do that. And we're going to learn how to do it from an energetic, conscious place. And that's all I can say about that. It's in here, it's in the body, it's in the body. Okay. And for eating disorders, whatever size you are, the body is the one place we want to run from. I totally get it. But the place that I have created and who I am today, it is total 100% space of ease, really, and no judgment. No judgment. Okay, then we go into after survival, the journey begins, and now we're into like thriving. And I do not have an idea of what time that frame is like for somebody, but I know for me, it was like 10 years. Okay. That's why I get a little scared when I see people, the whole world of social media getting sober. And I'm excited, but when we are celebrating when we're celebrating at such new stages, that's called the pink cloud, by the way. They don't talk about that, but we have a pink cloud for a while. And then if we don't have what's really required, then we go back in. So, and then Jessica, I'm a compulsive overeater, and alcohol goes hand in hand, and the eating issue, so much shame around both. Okay, hold on. There's so much. As an intuitive, the way that I work, I get downloads, and there's just so much information coming in right now. There's not a lot of voice to food. There's not a lot of voices out there talking about it. And I probably should be talking more about it. But for right now, I'm going to be aware of that. And what I want to contribute to your world, Jessica, is one of the things in the aligned woman path, it's the only way I can say it, is I teach levels of vibration. That sounds like such a cliche word. Raise your vibration. Now, if you don't know the F that means, that just means raise your vibration. Okay. What it means is, where are you living? Are you living in what we call the 3D reality, which is where almost everybody lives? Are we living in the 4D reality? And I want all my clients up in the 5D. Okay. What does that mean? I actually brought the paper on the floor. I promised myself I wouldn't show it to you because it gets too crazy. This is one of the things that we will do in the aligned woman path, is we're going to talk about the themes of consciousness. The 3D level is the lowest energy vibration. Shame is at the bottom. Okay. I'm going to tell you, nothing's new. Bree Brown, whatever. Everybody saying is always the same thing. Nothing's new. It's just the teacher comes at the time and speaks the language you hear. I think she talks a lot about shame. Well, I talk about shame, guilt, judgment, hopeless grief, fear, desire, anger, pride from the energetics of who we're being. Okay. So shame is the bottom. What would it be like? That's the question. That's what we ask our question. If we're in awareness, okay, I'm awareness. Jessica just shared, she has shame. Okay. Total allowance. Okay, cool. Shame. Everywhere that you're choosing shame, that if you didn't choose shame, you'd have to totally choose to show up as a totally potent, vibrant, brilliant woman. You have to be willing to let go of the shame. So that's part of it. It's so crazy, isn't it? But I do know it takes work, but it can be really fast when it's energy. Okay. And then so much shame around it. What am I talking about? I got so excited, Jessica. And getting out of these levels of the 3D reality, which is where the 98% of the world's living. Okay. Then we go up into the 4D, where we start to 4D is kind of like when you're thriving. Okay. Thrival is where I want my clients and my friends and my girlfriends in the 5D, where we're literally living in the space of joy. Okay. I didn't really figure out what joy was until this last year and a half, 2 years. Okay. It's an energy of becoming. So there is shame around it. I hear that. And I also ask you, if you didn't choose to do shame with it, you're doing it. You're being shame. I know that's hard to hear. You don't even know me. But if you didn't do shame, what else would you have to choose? Shame is just the energy you've encapsulated yourself with to keep you from moving out of it. That's it. There's work in there, but that's it. And so you could choose a level up from that. How about just, and then the big thing is going from this 3D. I wasn't going to talk about all this, but then going into this place of neutral. That's probably one of the greatest places I can get a client to, is an energetic neutral space. Like everything's existing, nothing's affecting me. I'm just aware of what I'm feeling. And yeah, there's so much I want to talk about. So let me bring it in. Jessica, thank you for sharing that. Okay. You're in the right place. And thriving. Okay. Thrival. That's where thrival. Okay. The thriving stage is the first signs of evolution. And I'm like, what is evolution? And I really looked it up and I'm like, okay, that word does work. Sovereignty. They use that word. I'm like, what the word is sovereignty? But I'm like, that's really it. You know, underneath the pile of shit the pony called you, that's you. That's the sovereign you. That's the next evolution of you. Shame, guilt, hopelessness, grief, fear, desire. 95% of that, Jessica, does not belong to you. And then all of a sudden, when I said that, somebody popped up into your head. And who was that? Who was that person's shame? Okay. If we were doing a session, I would clear that person. I can see who she is. But you'll get that, okay, in the class or privates, whatever you want to do. Here's the next stage of Thrival. Energy, more open, forward movement. Expansion. I have taught classes on expansion years ago that I didn't even know I was teaching, but now I really do. Like, you as an infinite being are connected to everything. Do you get that? But we live here. And I understand. I understand. I understand. Okay. Inner feeling, hope, curiosity. That's a word that I introduced to all my clients. And I love Brooke's, my favorite. She's always curious. I didn't even know I could be curious. I only knew that I had to be right so that I wasn't wrong, so that they weren't right and I wasn't wrong. That's the 3D reality, the right and the wrong duality. That's what we live in. That's what we're brought up from the age of 0 to 3. Get it right, get it right, get it right, or you're wrong. Get it right, or you're wrong, or you're wrong. The energy I want you in is a space of neutral where it just doesn't matter. And then it energetically doesn't ping you. And in momentum. And so with that, let me tell you about, with that, I think that thriving, okay, from your guide, starting to regulate your nervous system, mindset shifts, new choices. I'm going to invite you right now. That was thriving. I lied. That was thriving. I said that. Thrival is, wow, thrival. Let me go back. I got so excited. Thriving is the middle of the journey. You're more open, forward moving, hope, curiosity, momentum. You're starting to understand that there's other parts and pieces of this whole story of you. Okay. And that's, it's where, like I think, Jessica, what you're talking about, it's like, I'm getting there. Like, I'm not here. I'm here. I'm here to say, here is good, but here's the next. Okay. And thriving is progress. Oh my gosh. Every moment, every day, and every 24 hours. In the energy world, I do things in every 10 seconds. And every 10 seconds, we get to make another choice. And every 10 seconds, we get to make another choice. Not a decision. I don't do decisions. I do choice. Choice creates possibilities. Okay, thrival is the evolution, is the accumulation of the journey, which you've been, and the full evolution. It's radiant, it's magnetic, it's sovereign. The inner feeling is freedom, vitality, self-leadership, clarity, so much clarity, and how to do it in your body, how to know it, emotional safety, no longer ruled by my past, your past at all, and powered by your own knowing to know, to know what you know. I think that's mostly what I teach, to know what it is that you know and then to know it. But see, it's way down here. You don't know that you know it because there's too much on top of us that we have to clear, we have to move, we have to, that's the work. Okay. Um, and I wrote this down. Thrival isn't a destination, it's an evolution. It's an identity shift into alignment and sovereignty. You didn't come this far just to survive. You came to evolve into the aligned woman. Okay. So that's the training. And now I'd like to tell you a little bit about the aligned woman's path. And what I'd like to ask you to do before I just tell you a little bit about it and how much it costs and what it looks like, would you please just put your feet on the floor, feel your butt in your chair, and I want you to expand out. And if you've never expanded out, just perceive yourself sitting here, and I want you to just push your energy out until as big as the room you're sitting in. Push it out if you have to push it out. Push, see, move your energy out as big as the house you're in or wherever you're at, the restaurant. I don't know wherever you're at. Well, I saw somebody at a coffee house all of a sudden. Push it out. Now expand your energy out. Normally I take you in increments, but I'm just going to have you go out as far as you can. Go out into the universe. You are bigger, you are as big as that energetically, but we try to live ourselves in this little teeny thing. Okay. And the reason I'm asking you to do that is because I've presented a lot of information to you, more than you're even mentally aware of. This isn't a mental thing. This is all an energetic shift, the work that we've done. So I wanted you to be able to go out. And then as I invite you to think about a next step with me, whether it just be here that you learned, follow me on other stuffs, or into what I call the aligned woman's path. This is the first launch of it. I have probably taught over 100 plus classes over the last 6 years, but this is all of it put together, all of that. And it is, I'm going to send you an email after this. It has more details because I'm not here to bore you with that, but I want to give you the container of it. It's 16 weeks. So that's 4 months. We will meet once a week for 90 minutes. That will be, I will take only 10 women into this first one. So it is limited to 10 because I will be moving things around and seeing how it flows, getting feedback from you. You're kind of like that beginning group of that. It's already written, but there'll be like little lumps and bumps of how I want to make it just perfect for you. Then you're invited into, you will be part of the Energetic Gym, which is a monthly membership where you get to practice your tools with me 3 times a week, 15 minutes a day. Then in that, we also have on top of the once a week, the 3 times a week Energetic Gym, which is 15 minutes. Twice a month, we do a group call with everybody that I'm working with in the gym and in the group. So you get another community. Okay. And that's the base of it. What we will be doing in that, the price is $2,997. I'm taking $2,000 off. I'm doing it for $997 for the first 10 women. 4 payments, $250. My one session is $250. And you're getting, I forget how many hours, I think it's 80 hours of coaching, energetic facilitation with me for $997. Open to 10 women. It will fill fast. I guarantee you are, because the first ones I'm presenting it to. So you can do it in the 4 payments. If you make it in 1 payment and get it in, you will also get a 1-hour session with me before we start so we can really set you up. Okay, kind of know more about where you're going, clear what I need to do. So, in that aligned woman, as you're breathing, and you're like, okay, she's talking about the sales part. I was just at a 4-day women's networking event, and this woman, let me take a breath. She did, this is where we talk about our offer, right? She got on stage and sold a $23,000 package to work with her for 9 months, and they were lined up. And I could deliver more than what she was even talking about. She didn't even understand energy. She talked about it this much. I was absolutely blown away. But anyway, I want to bring that to you. Okay, sorry about that. In the aligned woman, this is what you will become. Okay. And then we become it, and then we become more of it and more of it. You'll be emotionally regulated, not to react. Okay, that's the greatest piece, is to be the space of not aligning and agreeing, codependency or reacting, but to be this energy of like, it's all existing and I'm just standing neutral in it. You'll be free from old coping mechanisms. We are all functioning on these old coping mechanisms that are deep seated unconscious. We will clear those and you will create new ones. Okay. You'll start to like literally get rooted. Rooted. You will become, I want self-trust. I want you to have your own knowing of what it is that you know. Okay. That will be part of this. Living in alignment, knowing what your energetic priorities are, knowing what your energetic priorities are different than priorities, and living in alignment and how to do that. One of the biggest things of being in a course or working with a coach one-on-one, I take one-on-ones all the time, but like I said, my fee's $250 a session. And yeah, so is when you work with other women, it creates an energy that is you cannot bottle it. Um, Energetic sovereignty. We're going to learn. I'm really going to teach about being an empath. No one gave you guys the tools. No one gave us the tools. We have tools. No one's teaching them. That comes as part of this. Really clear on who you're becoming. um, because becoming that next version means destroying and creating all the energetic personalities you are. I still have energetic personalities of like that pop up. I'm like, oh my God, no wonder I can't get this, have this, because I'm still functioning from this old personality. And energy in growth, it's like a soup. You get one layer and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, oh my God, there's another soup. It is different than therapy. Therapy, you're always looping. You're always going back to the same problem. Okay. Energy goes down to the root, cuts that root. There might be another root. And that root might not even come from this lifetime. So that's why we got to cut different roots. Okay. No longer attached labels, honors the path, and a vibrational match. This is the piece, the vibrational match for what it is that you desire. And can you even receive what it is that you desire? That's a big piece. You may know what you want, you may know how to have it, but can you actually receive it? And if you were vibrating, I guarantee anywhere in the 3D, even the 4D, you're not receiving it in the ease that's possible. Okay, so simply put, I wrote this down. Sobriety is about putting the whatever down drink. Okay, and when it comes to food, I understand food is like a daily abstinence, whatever that is, or non-abstinence. It's just the willing that you want something to change. The emotional sobriety is about learning what to do with that inner chaos, but not really knowing what to do with it. But you know that you have it, and you know that there's possibilities, and you're trying to piece it all together like I did, like all the things I've done. 35 years of piecing all of this together. And then alignment is where your energy, your emotions, your consciousness and actions all match who you are becoming. And that's what I've cultivated inside the Aligned Woman Path. And that is for $9.97. Okay. I'll send you emails. You can choose it if you want. But I invite you. I wonder what's possible there. Okay, so we have 10 more minutes. we can end, or I'd love to have you come on camera and I can answer questions. I can do some energetic facilitation. Those who are live gets that gets that from me. If you'd like to pop on, Letitia, your picture is just beautiful, by the way, of you. That's a new one. I don't think I remember seeing that. Hello, Jessica. Unmute yourself. I think I have you guys all muted. So unmute before you come on. Ask to unmute. Let me see if that makes a difference.
Unmute. There we
There we
go.
go. All right. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you.
Yes,
Now I know who you be. We've talked once.
we have.
We have. So is there anything you have questions on what I talked about? Did something ping you? Is there something I can take a look at? Where are we?
I'm just kind of in a,
Let me get a piece of paper.
I just feel like I'm waiting, like life is passing me by because I'm not getting off the fence.
I
And
think
I'm
we were
trying
there
to
the
figure
last
out
time we
which one
talked.
of your tools is going to work best for me. I really like the sound of this program, but I'm also considering private. So,
Okay. Um, I have a point of view on that. Um, I perceive from this that the growth that's going to come out of it for the women that are choosing it will be beyond what you would get one-on-one with me.
okay.
I really do. And I would make more doing you one-on-one. In my write-up, if you do want one-on-ones, they're 50% off. They're half price if you join the Aligned Woman, because you might need additional. But what we're going to cover, I can't do one-on-one the way I can do it in this container.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean that truly. So I invite you, listen to the birds. How sweet.
I know I love sitting out on my screened porch. I work out here because I work from home and it's beautiful.
Yeah, sounds beautiful. You're fit. Last time I talked to you, you were sitting almost in the same place thinking about the same thing.
Yes.
So, and that's okay. But, I'll leave you with the question, if I chose this, what would it create in my life? This is the questions that we go by. It's like this is how you start to use your body. If I choose this, what will it create in 5 years? If I don't choose this, what will it create in 5 years? And the reason we do 5 years is because you can't think out that far. If I said a year, we know that if you chose this, I know that if you chose this in 4 months, you won't even know who you were. I know that. But we do the 5 years because our brains can't figure it out. So you can use that tool all the time. If I choose this, what will it create in 5 years? If I don't choose this, what will it create in 5 years? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll send you a link and I'd love to have you. Love to have you. And we start
Yeah.
September 4th, I think it is. So,
Okay.
okay. Anything else?
Nothing that I can think of.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
And if you do choose one payment of $9.97, I threw in, okay, I lied. If you did one payment, I said that you would get a 1 hour session extra with me at the beginning. For anybody on this call, I will give that to you whether you make 4 payments or the one payment. You'll get a 1 hour onboarding call with me.
Okay.
Okay, that'll be for the first 10. So I'll open it not just to the $9.97 payment, but to all. It's $250 a month. Can't believe that. Okay, anybody else? Letitia, Jess, you want to say hi? Do you need anything? Do you need any facilitation? Letitia, can you come on? Do I need to facilitate anything for you? Because you could actually see us how I work, because she knows my work. She may not be able to talk. Well, get on, Jess. Come on. She's all, I'll go.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry, we
Hi.
just got home from eating lunch
And actually in here, Ryan's putting together his new exercise bike. But I
Very
have you
cool.
in my AirPods, so he can't hear anybody else talking, but he can hear me talk. He's heard it a million times. He's probably like, yeah, whatever, and blocking it out.
That's all right. That's all
Um,
right. So ask me a question.
okay. So where I find myself, and I'm gonna sit down to not make y'all dizzy. Where I find myself most of the time these days is, and I'm gonna try to articulate this, Lene, that it's hard, like words and feelings, like words are just a sorry example of how to convey what you're
That's all right.
thinking.
I read the energy while you're talking.
Okay. So I exist in this place of I have the allowance and I have the knowing of what is. And I don't mean that in this like all-knowing way, but more of I'm at the point in my work where I recognize and have the allowance.
Great. Great.
But also within that, at the same exact level and same frequency, there is still the trauma, for lack of a better word, struggle
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that is a very, I don't want to say unstable because I don't feel unstable, but it is a very interesting place to be
Yeah.
when you find yourself with multiple things coexisting. So, um, I started my mental health journey over 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the thick of my husband's drinking, which, I've talked about on our podcast, and I won't get too much into that here. But um, it was pretty much a recognition of these are the things that I'm not willing to give up or alter,
Mm-hmm.
but this is what I recognize I want.
Mm-hmm.
So that shift of working within myself. And I have been sober from alcohol and everything else since June 1st of 2024. Um, and so now I have that awareness, acceptance, whatever anyone wants to call it. But there is still that I mean, in for literary terms, that albatross, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it is that pull.
Yeah.
And that is an interesting place to be because you want to be the enlightened self. You want things to come with ease. And ease is a very complicated word too,
It's completely unknown.
because ease is not easy.
It's an energy. Everything,
Right.
everything I talk is energy.
Hmm. And I'm very good at trusting my gut. Not that I always give into it, but I feel that I'm very, very, very self aware,
Okay.
very much so.
Great. Great.
But a lot of healing. And so that you don't talk about a lot. I'm not you, I'm talking about universal you, not you, but like the big U's of the world and the universe don't talk a lot about existing in that place of I feel evolved, yet this part of me is still
Okay. I got it.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
But
perfect.
but I also just got something. Okay. So the work that I do, and I can't go into it right now, is 98% of our points of view don't belong to us.
Mhm,
So you keep using this word evolved and stuff, and you don't even know what that means.
mhm. Yeah, you're right.
You don't. But that's not your fault. But
Uh,
we don't realize that we don't even know what it is that we want.
mhm,
And that's the discovery. Like, I wish I could go in there with you really quick, but you could walk away with, like, I'm using these words, which the world is using, but no one actually knows what they mean for them. This is where the whole world gets tongue tied. We're you we're like searching for this certain thing. Everybody's searching for it. But when I really ask somebody what does that mean to them, we have no idea. And that's where the work begins, because then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, so here's what the energy of ease actually is. I was going to share it, and it is a space. I used to call it where I would watch the grass grow. My life today, from an overachiever, compulsive, Jess, I am just like you, right? To where ease for me today is a life, and I know this sounds weird, where there's nothing. And I used to describe it for quite a few years that it was boring. And then I went through a stage that what the hell am I existing in the earth for if this is the feeling of ease? I literally had to go through that. I mean, it was COVID. I got deathly ill, hospital, where I really experienced this thing of like, oh my God, this is what ease is. Well, what's my purpose? And then I had to figure out underneath the purpose was to be. It's just to be. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's like, it is
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
like what I thought, but it's an energy of I'm just being. I'm not
Oh,
proving, I'm not
yeah.
coping, I'm not doing, I'm being. But it took a lot of clearing of
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what that even was and then freaking myself out because it was so much ease. And we are all brought up in this group, watching our time, where we are programmed not to be any of that. We were taught to work hard, shove, push it through, hustle, boss babe, all that stupid shit name and all that, which created the mess that we're all at right now. Okay. I'm much older than you, but we even had it more as women in business fighting through the men. It's still there. To now, we're in this place of like, I'm talking about ease and being, and it's fighting every point of view and belief that you have. That's so deep. But with energy work and the work I do, we move it so fast, and then we start to become that version of you who you will become. And then I'll be damned in another 6 months. You're like, I've outgrown her. What's next? But you will know how to get to that. Okay. So, and there is a connection between you and I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to, between you and your husband's recovery. And you don't know how energetically to be separate from it. And that needs some work. And this is where codependency and Al-Anon, years in it. It's an energetic game. It is not like there's so much more. First, we become aware, and now we realize I am courted in every reality, not just from this lifetime, but from other lifetimes. So but I just, when I was doing my automatic writing, I'm like, oh, there they are. So there's another part of you that can't find the ease because you're still attached to his, whatever that looks like. Does that make sense?
100%. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
100%. And I know we're short on time, and I think you'll understand what this means without me having to explain. My least favorite question when I was younger was, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to go to college for? What do you want to do? I just turned 40. I still don't know.
No,
Don't ask me. Stop asking me. So
exactly.
I'll kind of leave it at that. And it's not that you don't want to do nothing, it's that that's
No,
a very
and
heavy
then,
question for me.
yeah. And
Yes, I feel the exact same way.
so
Mhm.
let's clear this before we leave. All your points of view that you have about what doing means and not doing means. I don't need you to think about it. I just want the energy to come up. All your points of view of what doing is and isn't, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it? It just means just let it go. All your points of view, everybody's projections, expectations, computations that are piled up on the top of you about what doing is, destroy and uncreate it. And there's a whole different clearing process I do in person, but we'll just clear it. And if you were to ask, what is it that I can be? What would that be? Because we start in the aligned woman, we aren't doing, we're being. But you can't go from doing to just being that, but you can quickly when we understand why we're attached to everything. Yeah. So the doing word is a trigger word for you. So, but 98% of that isn't yours. It was everybody else's. So for you, actually doing or do is probably not a trigger word when it's your own word. So the word that I would introduce is, what are you choosing today? That's it. That's my whole thing is, this is what I'm going to choose. This is what I'm going to choose. And then I do more tools, heavy, light, what I do. And so my whole world is brought with alignment of what creates ease for me today. Cool. All righty, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It'll be sent to you in a recording. You'll get a link. I would love to have you in the Aligned Woman. 16 weeks, 4 months. We start in September for those 4 low payments, $9.97. And you all get a free session with me to get that loaded. Okay, and that goes for everybody else who watches the recording. Amazing. You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.